It should be, hello, it should be recording.
Awesome.
Find out.
Cool.
So yeah, go ahead and get it all.
Beautiful.
All right, I'm gonna
Awesome.
mute this over here.
Let's see.
Looks like it's up. Looks like we're running. So take your time.
Is it Kari Caldwell Johnson is the page?
No, Kari Kamm, Kamm.
Ooh, I see us.
There we are.
I can't believe it's already the end of the year. Time is going so fast.
It's the energy is going fast.
Yeah, everything seems to go fast right now in a beautiful way. Okay, I shared it to my page. Let's see if that does the job properly or not. I don't see any option to. Yeah, it's working. Amazing. Okay. I think it's live. I think it's live on my Dr. Shivani page.
All right.
Yes.
We're rocking and rolling. And we have a couple people already streaming in. Hopefully a couple loves. Hello. I am beyond thrilled to welcome Dr. Shivani Gupta. This has been a long time coming for the two of us to connect in this space. It feels so divinely orchestrated, and I'm excited to jam with you and just peel back the energy, peel back the layers, and I know our two worlds have converged. Of course, mine in the super spiritual languaging space of everything, and then yours coming out of the Ayurvedic space, which in somewhere in between in our friendship and our time that we've spent together, we've found this incredible bridge of like learning to see the world through each other's lenses and making, as we are both pursuing so much magic, and you have been up to incredible magic lately. I'm so excited to hear more about it, but first and foremost, welcome.
Thank you. Just to get to spend time with you is so lovely.
Right. Well, to kick us off, I would love to start with asking you to, again, in light of learning everyone's languages, right? Mine being the super spiritual, and then our viewers having a lot of like their own spaces that they're coming out of. I would love for you to share with my audience and yours what intuition means to you, like what and how that has come together, your understanding of it, because that's ultimately what I know drives a lot of your practices as well.
Absolutely. Intuition is one of those things. I think societally, we believe there's intuitive people and then there's not as intuitive people. And I think it's a gift that we can all grow into and refine and elevate over time. Because I always thought, oh, there's those people, they just have a knowing. They like hear things or see things and they have these awarenesses. And that's so cool that those people are intuitive. And what I've learned for myself is I teach the Ayurvedic lifestyle. I've applied Ayurveda and this whole system of medicine from India to my life. And the healthier I am physically, mentally, emotionally, and the more I bring my entire life into alignment, the more refined my intuition is. And so a lot of the work that you and I have done together is understanding how to tune into my intuition, ask it questions, and then trust those responses. I can honestly say that when I first met you, I probably didn't trust my intuition the way I do now. I kind of asked it questions, but I wasn't sure, is that a yes or a no? And now at this moment, I can ask it, is it yes or no? And my body says, I get pretty clear yes, no's. And if I don't get one, I sometimes have to refine my question. But very much my life now in this moment is intuition led, where I am seeking on a constant basis. I'm calibrating to my own system and saying, which way are we going today? Are we, I try not to ask myself, am I working out or not? Because the answer might always be, I don't want to do that right now. But other than that, I'll ask, like, is it okay for me to go hard today in the gym? Is it okay for this to happen? What do I need right now to feel my best? And I've taken this Ayurvedic practice of drinking tea and turned it into a rhythm in my life. And every time I stop to have my tea time as me time, I ask myself, do I feel okay? What is my plan? What do I need to change in my day for my day to go better? And I truly believe now that if we lead an intuition led life, our being is guiding us constantly for
Yeah.
good. And it's leading us away from things that may not serve, leading us away from bad. And so even nowadays, my life is, it feels like it's on steroid and it's a rocket ship. So it's going faster than I can even calibrate to. But I will still ask myself, like at the airport, is this a yes or a no? Should I go that way or that way? And I then have such faith that everything will be fine. So it's a lot of
Love it.
comfort as well.
I love it. What would you say? Because you have been just, I love I love the time that we get to spend together and getting an insight into your process and your mind, and then just the wealth of wisdom that you hold in the Ayurvedic space. And and also this journey of watching you grow through the different challenges and overcoming the different things. And you used a key word. You said, you didn't used to trust your intuition versus now starting, that's shifting. And so for you, um, what would you say a couple like key things, or obviously to get to the seat you're in, right? You've got successful business programs, incredible offerings, incredible following, never mind community that not only is locally but around the world at this point working with you. um, and that trust piece is, I think, in my perspective, been integral in it. And so what are some of the things, and I know I want to ask you in a little bit about the ritual, but you've hustled and grinded and done all of the pieces to get to this point. And so where do you see those two worlds converging, like the intuition and building the trust, being able to kind of keep up the energy to keep going at it? Because I am sure there have been some incredible challenges that have come along the way where you've actually like either questioned that trust or like really been pushed to the threshold. So I would just love to hear how it's all kind of come together for you, and what's been happening to get you to
Sure.
this point.
I think it's only when you're on the other side of success that you can look back and say, okay, those were some good choices. Because you never know when you're in it, like how it's going to go, where it's going to go. For me, I went to business school, I studied social entrepreneurship, and I knew I will always be someone who's a change maker. I'm meant to build things that impact the world. And I've known that since I was 21. So for me, it was just like, when am I finally going to get to win at that? When am I going to get to truly feel that I accomplished it? And it just happened, like right now in this moment. I just got back from Vegas and was like, yes, okay, like this is that life I dreamt of, where I was impacting at the level I believed I was meant to. And that's just it's a crazy feeling to even try to like embody, because it's so surreal as it's happening, and it's hard to be present to, because it comes at you faster than you expected, or maybe it takes longer, but it's hard to accept it almost. But I always knew that to be true. Graduated college, started businesses, failed at many. I'm one of those social entrepreneurs and serial entrepreneurs who had to learn a lot of very expensive, painful lessons in business one, two, three. And then I finally landed on this thing. I did my master's in Ayurvedic sciences and my PhD on turmeric, purely with the vision of writing books to change the world. I had kind of given up on entrepreneurship. I was like, I'm probably not meant to be a successful businesswoman, and I'll have to just get over that. That was not my path. And then once I finished the PhD, everyone around me is like, if you're going to be that obsessed with turmeric, you should make your own. Still wasn't like, oh, I'll own a supplement company. Didn't think that that was possible. And, you and I met probably a couple years into me building my supplement company. And again, my dream was just, can I build something that changes all of Western medicine? I have a hypothesis. Can I prove it to be true? And I proved it to be true. But for about 5, 6 years there, I would call my business a failure because it was impacting, but financially it was just nowhere near what it needed to be to survive or thrive. And I'll never forget when I met you and I was doing everything, when you put your heart and your soul and your blood and your sweat into this thing that you create and you're working your booty off, we'll say, instead of using bad words on social, and pushing and grinding and doing everything right. And you have coaches and mentors and consultants, and everyone's told you what to do, and you're pushing as hard as you can, physically, mentally, emotionally, everything. And it's still not working. And you're like, those freaking people out there who can manifest everything. Like, I wish I was one of them. I don't know who they are. And then I met you. And it was just at one of those moments where I was like, this is not working. I'm not happy. I'm trying. How long am I meant to feel like a failure? Like, this all sucks. And, you and I met, Kari, and you just opened big doors for me that I didn't know existed.
Mm.
And so you're my teacher. And that's why when you invite me on anything, I'm happy to talk to you. I just love being in your space. You opened up a world to me that I didn't know about. And I told you, I said, I'm Hindu, I am Indian. Like, I know a lot about gods and goddesses and spirituality and this wisdom, this ancient wisdom, but apparently I didn't know it in the way that I needed to impact me at that stage. And so now, as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as a wife, a sister, and as someone who really wants to impact the whole planet, I can now see that it's happening and it's going to happen even bigger. Last year my company 3x'd, which was such a big deal. Like, it was that
Yeah.
final moment of, okay, this is enough revenue to be stable. And then this year we grew 30%, and it's like, oh, this is enough money that I can pay myself finally. This is so nice. Like, slow wins as they're coming are feeling really good. But I think the more I dropped into, this is who I really am, this is what I'm meant to do. It's okay to be innocent and honest and pure as a person. Like, it's okay to do my whole project my way. It's okay that everything I'm building is from my energy field. Like, I do more work energetically to win now in my life than I actually do physically.
Mm.
And that's pretty insane because
Yeah.
my whole life has been get into the best schools, pursue being an all A. When you do the work, you're seeking that 101. That's how you land at a 95 in your grade. And I still take that work ethic and I apply it to everything. So when I'm like, if I pitch podcasts, I'm pitching 700 at a time. That's when I expect to get 100 interviews, which is what happened last year. But I don't like say, oh, I'll half do the work to get half the result. I go 2000% to land at my goals.
Yeah.
And so now I'll give you an example. This year has been my most successful year in terms of my dreams coming true. And really, I got them through prayer and meditation. And do I do the work? Yes. But like, I just spoke at A4M Vegas 2, 3 days ago. And literally, my whole day was energetically preparing to be on
Mm.
stage. It
Nice.
was a waste of time to try to physically prepare. I didn't need to like study sirtuins and cellular senescence again for the 18th time. I did because I'm a nerd. But I literally sat there and I was like, I'm pulling my inner Kari. And I've set energy boundaries around the room. I tuned the room for what I was
Mm.
going to do so that my audience would receive what I wanted them to receive. And then they did. And so to
Wow.
me, that's been the most life-changing gift you've given me, is this understanding of my energy capacity and then utilizing it to achieve my life goals.
So thank you. Wow. Thank you. And what I'm hearing you absolutely say is you've been leveraging your intuition to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you say energy, and again, just to kind of keep bridging
Yeah.
for the audiences that are landing here,
Sure.
what does it mean, like, to tune in and do meditation? Because I know for you it's not always just like I'm going to sit and be quiet and clear my mind out and everything. And when you say energy, like, break that, like, what does that mean actually to you? Like, for me, I know, like, I have a whole, it's the feelings and the emotions. So are you tuning into your feelings? Are you tuning into your emotions? Or are you more so just tuning into kind of what's going to happen and what it feels like and taking yourself through it in the context of vision work? Like how does that break down for you?
Sure. Well, one thing I learned from you over time is I'm very visual. I have to see it. And that's a little tough on your spiritual journey because you're not always going to see things to get to believe them. And so in
Right.
my case, I've learned to imagine. I can visualize. And so when I sit down to meditate, I can oftentimes just do it in my bed. I'll wake up in the morning, and if I'm unwilling to go to my meditation corner, I'm like, fine, then you get to meditate right here. And if I do go to my meditation corner in my home office, it's because I want the tools. I want the physical things that help me tune inwards and get quiet. And so in my meditation corner, I have candles and I have crystals and I have incense. And sometimes life is so busy and full of so many external things happening between kids and husband and house management and business and all the things that I need to like work in because I cannot get to the quiet places I want to myself. So I'll light an incense, light a candle, pull a card, hold a crystal, set intentions, and then slowly I'll get quieter and quieter until I can be present to what intentions I want to set or who I want to speak to. I have worked with you for, I don't know, feels like 5 years now or so,
Could be. Yeah.
maybe 4 to 5 years. So the level of my meditation has just changed and evolved. So it used to be that I would sit and I would imagine myself in this cavern and I would tune into my spiritual guides and my spiritual masters based on different mediums and people who I had spoken to. So I knew that I have certain energies around me that are there to protect and love me. So I tune into my father who passed away 20 years ago now, and I will converse with them like, hey, this is what's happening. Please protect me or please guide me. I'm here to do the work. So before my meditation was there, that was like my 101 level was conversing. I happen to have a very pitta and vata mind from Ayurveda. I have one of those minds that's always churning, always going. Like I have 50 ideas a day, and I have to tell myself they're on the shelf and you will get to them. And they're not all happening right now, or you don't get to win at what you set in motion. And so my meditation doesn't usually involve quiet. If I need to quiet my mind, I need to go to yoga. So that Shavasana is my quiet, or I need to go walk in nature and like not take phone calls, and then I can tune into nature and I'll say, pick 5 things that are beautiful. And by the time I get to the third thing, I'm just like, wow, nature's stunning. And I'm just basking in nature. So now my meditation is much more, I tune into what I call my auric field. So I am physically, generally healthy enough and happy enough that physical is not a problem. I have no physical ailments, no pain to distract me in my body anywhere. Emotionally, I work very hard to have very clean karma with everyone around me. So I want no drama, no problems, no stress. I don't want to fight with anybody. If I have a problem with someone, I'm going to go drive to their house and have the conversation because I want to be so clean and clear at an emotional level that there's no drama or problems.
Right.
Um, Mentally, granted, I try to apply all my own mental issues around anxiety and stress, but I try to keep a very calm, cool, and collected mind. So that's not the place from which I'm trying to focus. I literally think of myself as having this golden energy field all around me. And in the last year, I really think of it as full of jewels that are like beautiful, like rubies and diamonds and emeralds, but these shining jewels. And my meditation in the morning is usually I clear my auric field of any people, places, or things that do not serve, anything sticky that came towards me, because it happens. I'm running around all day. Who knows? And anything that does not serve. And then I'm magnetizing to me everything in the world that is meant for me and those who I'm meant to help.
Mm,
And that's it. That's the
I love it.
majority of what I'm doing. I'm tuning into my angels' guides and saying, hey, I'm here. Please close the doors that are meant to be closed. Please open the doors that are meant to be open. So I can visualize this golden highway of me getting to run on it towards my dreams and goals. And then whatever has come into my field of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual field, clear it out and
Yeah.
then bring it in.
Yeah. I
And
love it.
that's usually my place. And you have told me to tune into my golden light. Sometimes I can tune into Mother Earth energy. I like to be very grounded because Mother Earth to me is that place from which we get to not only love and serve Mother Earth, but receive. I'm Ayurvedic, so I'm very much about what we are conversing with nature with, and then that's it.
Awesome. Well, and I want to talk more about the Ayurvedic piece in just a moment, but really what resonates so deeply for me with what you were just sharing is it's the consistency, right? And you also mentioned earlier this trajectory, right, of how many business one, two, three, four, five, six, right? That entrepreneurial spirit of it's going to fail, it's going to fail, it's the nose and the nose and the nose, and how navigating those, and yet here you are like still pursuing what your yes is, because we know it's that thing that whether you want to or not, you said you've known since you were 21 you were going to be in service, you were going to change the world in a certain way, and that's no small vision to hold. And yet I know also there have been times when you've wanted to just like be like, I'm out. I'm
Many times,
done.
yeah,
I'm
it's
done.
exhausting.
And
Yeah,
so would you, and in the Ayurvedic space, there's so much ritual and routine inherently, like through nature, through consistency, through repetition. And so talk to me a little bit about that, about how both leveraging your intuition, and it sounds like also being Hindu, merging, because that in just knowing a little bit about you, merging the intuition with what you knew about your background, right? And then merging that into the Ayurvedic practices as well, only like just created like this garden to fully get watered, essentially to blossom into what you have now. But I want to like you are in your success moment, and I know how many days there have been not being in your success moment. And so I don't want to like just skip over the journey, because there are so many people out there that are still pursuing their yes and are still trying to solve their health crisis or relationship or whatever it could be. And so if you could speak a little bit about how some of these Ayurvedic tools have come into play, and weave some of that together and helped you navigate also through some of those more challenging points. I'd love to hear about it.
sure. I think for me, I've always admired those women out there and men who are entrepreneurs who impacted the world. And it was like Tom's of Maine, Patagonia.
Hmm.
There's so many companies out there where they created something for the world and it changed the world. Not even to mention like Mother Teresa, like those types of people. But
Right.
all I grew up in an all business family. So my ethos is through business we can impact our community. And what most people don't know about me is my parents came from India with nothing. They came from India with like 25 bucks in their pocket and a dream.
Oh,
And they were able to build this huge entity worth millions of dollars. They had 60 employees. Like the money
oh,
was one thing, but I admired that I got to see them build it from scratch. I got to work for them in every department since I was a little kid. They taught me the value of money. They taught me the value of hard work. And I got to see my mom love on those 60 employees. She treated them like family and took care of them, and they were thus my family. And so to me, it was always my dream. Like one day I will own a business and I'll have 60 employees and we will all feel like family. And that is success. That's what I looked at. And my parents also were so invested in us being educated, us like having what we needed. But really, we were growing up in this family that was very tight knit. So my family values are like, you take care of your family. My dad and mom always took care of their brothers and sisters. But the thing that left a big impact on me after hard work and commitment builds great things. That's a big core value in my family. You always take care of your family no matter what, no matter who's going through a hard time, you take care of them. That's another big one. A third one was growing up going to India every year, I would see my family suffer from horrible, devastating impacts of disease. Like
yeah.
my grandma needed a quadruple bypass. That was a
Oh,
huge thing that happened. My grandpa, who was like so successful, had his leg amputated and had
wow.
Parkinson's. And so every time I went to India, I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, is this the end point? Like, we start here, we work hard, we succeed, and that's the last 20 years of life. This is a no-go. I have to find a different way. You guys are not following the right templates and models, and I got to go find it myself. That's when I discovered Ayurveda. And I was like, wow,
Hmm.
Ayurveda can fix me. It can fix my lack of an immune system that I had at the time. And wow, it really works so well. It could have changed my family's history of diabetes. and it could change everyone's life trajectory. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, this is it. I have found my life purpose. Like, this is so profound. I am meant to share this. And so I'm lucky. I just consider myself lucky that I figured out exactly what I loved most in college. Just because you discover it doesn't mean you practice it or
Yeah.
build something out of it. So that took its own timelines. Um, but for me, going through this journey of learning has been the most fun part. I love to study, I love to absorb knowledge. And I think if we look back, we can always see how intuition guided us.
Mm.
How, me getting to go to India and study under all the gurus was the best thing that ever happened to me because I have this deep, rich understanding of how something is practiced in India. And yet I'm born in Houston, Texas. I'm a Texas girl. So I confuse like modern and Eastern, modern and Eastern. I'm always trying to like fuse my worlds and show people that there's such equal beauty in two worlds.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't have the greatest words for it. Sometimes I'm not the best at explaining it, but that's my work is I'm constantly trying to say, guys, if you don't take care of your health, the end game is horrible and it's
Mm.
tragic. And I need you to do the work now. And most people don't want to listen to me. My friends laugh. They're like, don't look at me. I'm drinking my Coke. Don't look at me. I'm gonna drink my margarita. I'm like,
Yeah.
guys, we don't have to be perfect, but this is a vessel. And if you mistreat this vessel, you're going to feel the repercussions. And so
Yeah.
my intuition always says, like, it's okay that you are the outcast or the outsider or the outcast is the wrong word. I'm always on the outside of the group, a lot of times looking in. And I always want to be in the group, but my mind thinks the way it thinks. And I see the world the way I see it. So I've only now become comfortable with I might be different forever. And that's okay because
Mhm.
my viewpoint is one to benefit all. Just because they
Yeah.
can't see it yet doesn't mean it's not wrong or right. And the world's coming that way now when it comes to like longevity and health and ancient is good and non-pharmaceutical is good. Like this idea is finally trendy or right,
It's
but it's okay if your intuition's always telling you you're on the right path and you just hold to it because the world's not ready for it yet. That's
yeah.
okay.
I think it is now though, like you said, it's starting to like you're finding your people and you're making such an impact through, because what again I'm hearing you say is your family, very much like mine, was work, work, like grind, work, like it doesn't matter, compromise, sacrifice, and your health can be the first thing to go. Like how much caffeine do we need to be running on these fumes to like just keep it going because that's just what you do. There really isn't another alternative. Caffeine and sugar, right? Like the quick fix. And at the end of the day, it blocks our ability really to manifest and to magnetize. It blocks, a lot of those inner mechanical pieces. But um, so, in a huge sense, like through your work, you're essentially disrupting the entrepreneurial space with what you're up to, right? Because you saw this need and for yourself and your family and everything else have wanted to do it. But now you've been taking that and taking it very much into, like you said, Western medicine has always been the goal in finding a way to create some disruption in the Western medicine space and bring Ayurvedic principles and practices and create this bridge between the two. So I would love to hear more about what you're up to, how it's going, just the different everything that's been weaving together in that space and where you see not only fusionary and the supplements, but you also have other programs because it is a way of life. Like you said, there's a way we can connect with ourselves while still holding all of those big busy balls in the air. And I think you're living proof of that.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a story that's like so many. I grew up in America, and every time I had a cold, my pediatrician gave me antibiotics. That was just the 80s and 90s. It's just
Yep.
not how we think now, although many still think that way, which I find funny. But I just took so much antibiotic use through high school that by the time I hit college, I couldn't understand that everyone else goes to a party, they're fine. I go to a party, I'm down for a week or two. And so I just got so frustrated thinking, okay, I want great health. Everyone else seems to have it. I don't. What am I going to do about this? And as I watched, I realized, you know what? Every time I go to the doctor, I'm not getting the solutions I need. And I finally stood up for myself in college. And I told this Dr. Gupta in India who I met, I was like, no, you need to back down on that antibiotic. I'm not
Mhm.
taking your 11 drugs for symptoms. And by the way, you forgot a probiotic. Y'all are not my doctors now. I'm going to go find another system. And that's when I discovered Ayurveda. And I was like, oh, we have an entire treasure chest full of gold and diamonds called Ayurveda. And y'all were just blowing up my gut the whole time. No, like this is not going to
Mm.
continue. Later, I threw out my back and they gave me high dose NSAIDs and opioids. I don't do well on that stuff. So then I had stomach aches for weeks and the after effects of
Oh.
that. And I was like, no, we need to find a replacement. I don't accept this. So when I studied turmeric, I was like, wait a minute. You are telling me that a spice that we cook as Indians every day and we cook with all the time is anti inflammatory, antioxidant, antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal, anti aging, does all the things, and we just aren't taking it in the right form, and we could have won at health this whole time. And so that is what really put the fire under me, and I was like, I am going to prove to all of Western medicine that they can have a different solution. And that's where my innocence and blue-eyed but bushy-tailed self is a little problematic, because I was like, this will be easy. And
Right.
there goes my entire 30s right there, is in that idea. But you know what? Sometimes you have to like stick to your guns when you believe something, and I do believe, and I've refined the idea now, but turmeric can be the perfect adjunct solution for all of Western medicine when they want to offer us NSAIDs or painkillers. And
Mm.
that's my hypothesis. I've already proven it to be true. So my goal, which we already have my supplement fusionary formulas in hundreds of doctors' offices. So where I'm working with orthopedics and rheumatology and functional medicine and primary care. And now the British Medical Journal published a study proving that curcumin is as effective as PPIs. So now I should be
Oh.
calling all of GI saying, guys, you could be giving something
Mhm.
without the adverse effects. So to
Yeah.
me, that like really drives me is we're all going to go to the doctor when we have a problem. What if our doctor offered the most natural, healing, root cause addressing solution to us instead of what they're offering, or just offer both? And so that's
Yeah.
going to be my life's work for the next 40, 50 years. Um, what's cool is as an entrepreneur who loves creating things, I got bored somewhere in there. Like I was proving my point, but I also created sleep solutions and different things. So I definitely play with the herbs and spices because to me that's really the fun part. And now I don't sell it just to doctors. I sell it online because so many people are in pain. They're like, why do I have to go to the doctor to address my pain naturally? So fusionary is a beautiful way to give herbs and spices to people in the potent form to deliver a result. And my bigger mission of writing books and impacting is still there. So I teach online as Dr. Shivani, and that's where I get to be like teacher and I get to inspire. And I built a 6-week program because what I was seeing by the time I got to 2020, everyone was taking my formula like an NSAID. And I was like, well,
Mm.
I built it for that, but I also built it for prevention and a lot of preventive things I build. What if we all just address the lifestyle issues? Then we wouldn't need the turmeric in the first place. And
Mm.
so 2020 really changed things for me. And I was able to build my 6-week program, build out a lot of stuff online on my website. I have my dosha quiz, my 7-day challenge. And I want to build so many more of those things for people because if we can just reduce inflammation and fix sleep, we can transform our health at all levels. That and a couple other things, gut health and things.
Yeah.
So now I teach the 6-week program. A lot of women come to me who have perimenopause, menopause, autoimmune stack up, and all of that going on. And then I'm going to write a book next year and share that with the world on inflammation. And Hay House is going to publish it, which to me is like
Amazing.
my icing on the cake, biggest life dreams are happening. And so now I've decided I have to kind of put some guardrails on what I say yes to and what I dream up because I don't want to be too crazy and I don't want to look crazy.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, can we be selective on what the cool things are? Because once you've built such great things, they have to be grounded, they have to be supported and like structured a bit so that they can impact like rocket ships.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, and speaking of grounding, maybe you could ground for us a little bit around the terminology of Ayurveda for all the people that are not familiar with what it is and hear it, like have maybe seen it and um, just translate. do some translation for us about like why they should be interested in Ayurveda? Because I understand the turmeric piece, right? Like that. Well, I do because I know you, but generally, like you just connected the dots there. But I would love to hear about it with Ayurveda as well, because what I know, as we spoke about in the beginning, ritual is everything, repetition, consistency, and it can be really hard when we're in already routines and patterns and everything's going fast and there it's hard to like onboard a new system. And
True.
yet Ayurveda is a very intuitively driven system. It's all about, at least what I know, and I'll let you correct me, it's all about understanding how your energy naturally flows in your body. Like you said, you're strong in the mind, you're very pitta. So, just if you could open some doors and do some translation for us around that front, I'd love it.
Yeah. So Ayurveda is this entire system of health, healing, and medicine from India. It's over 5,000 years old. So just like we have traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture coming out of the Far East, India already had this entire system going. And it's a natural system of medicine. And Ayurveda means the science of life. So
Mm,
it's the science of how to live a healthy, preventive life. And the goal of Ayurveda is to bring body, mind, and spirit into alignment. And so we do that through all these different ancient texts that I have here. But the texts teach us to do detoxification, focus on gut health, that gut health is the center of all health. And isn't it interesting that modern science is right now saying gut microbiome, gut brain axis, there's a gut brain connection, we have a vagus nerve, like all these concepts are new to us, but Ayurveda already taught exactly how to manage your gut to have optimization. Then circadian rhythm. In 2017, Nobel Peace Prize winners proved circadian rhythm to be true. Circadian rhythm has been true for always. Ayurveda already taught it to us. It's already sitting there ready for us to absorb and understand. But circadian rhythm just means we are nature's, like we have to live according to nature's clock. Nature's clock is reflected in our chronobiology and in our cells. We have to live according to nature's clock to be healthy.
and
Um,
can it be different for different people? Can they have different circadian rhythm and that sort of like, because I have one kid that is up until 1 in the morning and will gladly sleep till 1 in the afternoon. And then I have another one who's up at 6 a.m. and in bed religiously by 8 p.m. Is that speaking to circadian rhythm in those pieces, or how does
yeah,
that?
well, we are all so different. And in Ayurveda, we teach the doshas, which are our individual mind body constitutions. And so, our job, living according to Ayurveda, is to understand our dosha, understand are we imbalanced in our dosha, understanding how our lifestyle intersects with our dosha to build the right rhythm for ourselves and our own vibrant health. But in general, in Ayurveda, I do teach that sleeping 10 to 2 on nature's clock is the most effective time for our body to rejuvenate, detox, recalibrate, all those things. And
Got it.
so a lot of people are night owls, but really they're just leveraging pitta energy, using it and harnessing
Mm,
it for work instead of for sleep and for their bodies, which we
got
can
it.
do when we're younger. And then after a certain point, the body's not going to like that so much. So now I'm
Interesting.
so tied to my sleep. Like my whole energy for the day is tied to how beautifully I sleep. So I like to teach sleep from Ayurveda. I teach diet, how to eat, when to eat, the rhythm with which to eat, elixirs and remedies that we use. So you don't have to reach for pharmacies. You can reach for the pharmacy, FARM. So you can reach into
Yeah.
your own spice cabinet and the super spices. So Ayurveda is really giving you a new lifestyle, which sounds like a lot, but I'm a big fan of habit stacking. So I tie everything to what you already do. You drink
Yeah.
coffee, it's called tea time is me time. Let's go. You brush your teeth, I'm going to add tongue scraping and oil pulling. You have some nighttime rituals called Netflix. I'm just going to switch them out for self care to give you profound sleep. So I'm very much trying to adjust with a person to do so much more self care in their lives that they feel so healthy and so vibrant and so full, like cup full, that everything is so positive and so good. And you can create anything you want. Like that, I can tell when I'm in my alignment and totally joyful or running on fumes, which has happened a lot this year because the year is going real fast. But I'm constantly able to quickly calibrate, fill my cup again, and then keep going. And
Yeah.
my goal with Ayurveda is as we develop so much disease in this world, which is happening at a very rapid pace, can we quickly put a self care, plan and a health plan in place that will reduce the impact of that. Or once you have such a diagnosis, you have to put lifestyle changes in place, or you don't get to
Yeah.
keep the results that you built.
Yeah. I think a critical piece here that stands out to me is that you're speaking to creating space for our body to find its own natural rhythm. And so often in our daily lives, and as I like to call it, when we're plugging into the matrix, we're on the rhythm of the matrix, or our kids' schedules, or work schedules, or traffic schedules, whatever it may be. And so in doing that, when we force in, I'm going to say force in, or go for it and try some natural solution and maybe don't have good success with it, is probably because we're missing this critical ingredient. Like you could, like the window of 10 to 2, like that should be pretty easy for anyone to bust out 4 hours of sleep. And if that's like the key of what we need, then like organize your day so that window can happen, right? And some of those other pieces, or even I find for my kids adjusting like their traffic hour to school because they have to like go through a busy space, by adjusting it 5 minutes, like took all of this, like it just kept them in a much more natural state. They had to leave earlier, but there was just much more flow that was happening because they weren't hitting like that traffic jam window.
Right.
So little things like that I'm hearing are more so the keys to the success, like the minor tweaks and shifts and everything, and seeing then how you can use that to open these bigger windows is what I'm hearing you say, so that all of the natural pieces can just work themselves because they're meant to.
Yes, and you can leverage energy more if you have it. So if I'm
True.
able to be physically so healthy, emotionally so clear, mentally so at peace, and understand my dosha, my mind body constitution. So I can keep my body balanced better at all times, my mental health better balanced at all times, then my capacity to create is that much bigger. And so
Yeah.
that's been my body of work lately is okay, I'm a bit the fire. I'm meant to create huge things. What do I have to do for myself physically, mentally, and emotionally to be so awesomely full that then when I say I want to speak at this or I want to do that, when I work, like this year has been a funny year because I can work day, evening, and night. Now all of a sudden my body's like, you got to slow down a touch. But I've been able to like almost build 3 work days in a day.
Mm,
And that's
wow.
how I've built so much success. And so now
Yeah.
I'm going to sacrifice one of those work days for self care because I need to bring it back down a bit. We're in the holiday season. This is a season where I got to recalibrate. But going into next year, I'm like, okay, what else can I do? What are those
Right.
next goals? Okay, you built a rocket ship. Where should the rocket ship go next? But I'm going to use self care, sleep. I'm not sacrificing my health on my journey to success. I cannot do it after the family history I saw. And so I'm always calibrating to that of like, yes, I want impact and success, but I cannot sacrifice my entire body to get there.
Yeah.
And so if you can instead leverage, then you're reaching in a different way.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important also to recognize you're a mom and a wife, and you've been doing all of this with a household, right? And big responsibility in household, and big business, and plugging the self-care component in. And um I'm hearing that that is the key to then allowing the room and creating opening the pockets of energy and time then to make it all come together. But I know that that's not like you work at that, right? Like you work at that. And so because I think people looking in could be like, oh yeah, well, it's, she's got it figured out. She's got her formula. Like, no, like I feel like maybe this is where the intuition has come in the most, and some of the greatest challenges have come in, right? Is just figuring out how to meet these incredible things that are so important, and allowing for their own timing to mature and to come together and happen as well.
Yeah, I definitely don't have it all together. I have a preteen. I'm like, when is she not going to talk back to me? When is that phase going to end? Because it looks like I'm in for a decade of this, and then a
Right.
little who's in 5th grade who still wants the cuddles and love, and you're like, I got to enjoy this while I can. I can see this window is going to close.
Mm,
And then yeah, house management, husband, and all the things. um, there's some magical balance that must exist for someone out there. I don't know who they are, but perfect balance I don't think is possible. I think it's more about how present can I be to each thing. So when I'm home on the weekends and it's kid family time, I'm there because I can't be half everywhere. It just doesn't work. It causes more friction and more stress. And thankfully, my family's letting me work really hard this year and do the big dreams. So it's a testament to them to give me the space. But yeah, there's no perfect equation. If you're winning in one area, you're definitely paying somewhere, and so it's just about mitigating that to some level.
yeah, yeah, and allowing them all to be held up, right? Like to
Yeah,
well, and I one of your it's forever ingrained in my consciousness. Tea time is me time, right? And using that as I call it the 7 minute savasana, right? Is kind of my window of translating. But there's just that moment during the day where, and it may be multiple moments during the day where we actually are able to identify which of those things, as you said in the beginning, which of these things, which is the person, who's the call, who's the client, who's what needs to happen at home, by tuning into the intuition and using that quiet time. Your tea time is me time, to activate that and to be really super clear so that we aren't feeling like we're falling behind or guilty or any of those other pieces.
absolutely. And our body has an intelligence, our body, mind, and spirit, an intelligence that I think is far wiser than I am. So a lot of times when I'm doing tea time is me time and I'm asking myself questions like, what do I need to do next? Is there anything I'm forgetting? Is there anything important? I get really weird answers. Like, you didn't call the man from the conference last year who said this. And you know what? If I do make that phone call, which I do listen now, profound things happen. So
Yeah.
I've learned that your intuition is actually processing so much in the background, and we just haven't made space to hear it. So if
Mm,
we can build anchor points in our day to hear our intuition, it is wanting what's best for us. And
yeah.
we just need to listen. And it's that simple. And I know that might sound too simple,
Yeah.
but there's many times you can think of it like if I went out 5 minutes earlier or 5 minutes later, that's the difference between a car accident. Think of it as that serious, that your intuition is guiding you. So sometimes when things go wrong, I'm like, wow, that must have been for a reason. I guess we broke the glass for a reason.
Mm,
I'm not meant to be doing something else right now. And so I very much have such faith in that after meeting you and doing the work with you and doing the priestess work and all the work we've done together. Now I listen. I
yeah.
really clearly listen. And sometimes the message is slow down. Sometimes the
Yeah.
message is go for it. But if you're constantly calibrating to your heart space and your intuition and your own inner wisdom, the greatest things can come.
Yeah, and they happen, right?
And they have,
You're living proof that like all the pieces are going, and they're only going to continue, right? It's just this is just the beginning for what you're up to, and again, the vision and the impact that you've been calling in since you were
yeah,
little. Um, and to bring it full circle, I'm hearing you just speak back to that trust piece, right?
yeah.
Of like, it's like anything, we have to build trust, but the key I'm hearing you say is trust in yourself, trust in the intuition. And that's the piece that really can open some of those bigger doors when we're struggling with what we're up to.
Yeah, I think it's trust and faith, Kari. And I think you are a profound teacher of it. You kind of
Mm,
help people hook back in to their trust and faith that
yeah,
maybe got broken. You know, when my
yeah,
father passed, that was definitely a huge moment of like, why, how, that's not fair. And so if you can just help rehook people back into that trust space, everything changes. And so
yeah.
that I think the biggest gift you gave me is like you hooked me back in. And now that I'm hooked in, I'm not going to let go.
Yeah, you're
It's
like, we're
working
in.
real well.
Yeah.
My whole life is on a rocket ship to heaven and greatness. So,
I love
so
it.
I deeply appreciate you because these
Thank you.
teachings matter and they matter
Yeah,
more than ever in this world that's chaotic and crazy. I just leave all that out there and I just tune in right here and I
yeah.
hold. right
Yeah.
here. And then whatever's beautiful in this lifetime that's meant to come will come.
Yeah. No, well, thank you for that. I deeply appreciate it and would love to hear because we're at our time.
Yes.
I have in the show notes where everyone can find you for to learn more about the dosha, to take the dosha quiz. I'm Kiki. I put in the show notes shivanigupta.com, but I would love to hear from you. Anything you have coming up, going on. I know you have the book coming up in about a year or over the next year,
Mhm.
and a bunch of stages that you've been invited onto. But what would you love to leave our audience with? And where can they find you if not at Shivani Gupta? Any other places?
That place is a great one because that has everything. I'm on Instagram as at dr.shivanigupta. The supplement company is fusionaryformulas.com, FUSIONARY, and it's on Instagram and social that way. I have the Fusionary Health podcast, which I'm very excited about because I get to interview
Mm.
amazing practitioners and doctors and learn even more about health on so many levels. And yeah, this next year I will be writing a book on inflammation and our health and all the ways we can win at inflammation in our health. And my whole goal is just to teach and inspire more. So follow me on social, and that's where I teach it all.
On that note, I'm going to invite everyone to share this with someone wherever you're catching this feed, whether it's on mine or Dr. Shivani's social. Share it, like it, give us a comment, help us with the whole social space because we're making it happen. And each of you are an integral part of what this journey is. And I always just like to bring it back to that, that not only does the work Dr. Shivani is doing matter, but it's each of us saying yes, right? It's those fundamental little steps of saying yes and playing a part in other people's success that really help us start to step by step build our own success. So thank you so much for your time and carving it out, and for us to be able, we've been talking about this for ages and it has been just so delicious to be here with you. And I fully intend we're going to be doing it again because so much magic is about to unfold. So, love you.
Love you too. Thank you, Kari.
Bye.
Bye.